Hello all, welcome to another session in this course. As part of this session, I'm going to cover the next topic in this JavaScript, that is functions. So let's get started. So what is the topic? JavaScript functions, okay? Or functions in JavaScript. The topic is functions in JavaScript language. So what exactly are these functions? What exactly are these functions? What exactly are these functions? Function is nothing but, okay? Function is nothing but a block of code, okay? Block of code which can perform some task, okay? Or to perform some task. Otherwise, you can say function is nothing but a block of code, okay? To perform some task. To perform some task. This is what is a function. Okay, in this function we can put some block of code which can do some task. Okay, that's what is a function. That's what is a function. What is the purpose of the functions and all I'll cover later. Okay, at this point of time I'm only explaining what exactly the function, but why we need functions and all I didn't cover it. I'm just explaining what exactly is a function. Function is nothing but a block of code. The syntax of the function will be something like this. There is a keyword known as function keyword. Okay. In JavaScript, if you want to create a function, you have to use this keyword known as function keyword followed by the name of the function. Okay. Let's say sample fun. Okay. Sample fun is the name of the function. And you have to give this circular brackets and this curly brace for start of the function. Here curly brace for ending of the function. In between this, starting of the function and end, this is starting of the function, guys. This starting curly brace, and this is the ending of the function, and this is a function. Function name of the function is sample fun, which should be followed by circular brackets. Here you can write any number of statements, guys. For example, this is statement one, statement statement one, okay, statement two, code statement two. Then this is statement statement 3 and so on. Okay, it can have any number of lines of code. Okay, what is a function, guys? Function is nothing but this function is nothing but a block of code. Is this a block of code, yes or no? Is this particular thing that I have selected here in this particular function thing is nothing but a block of code? Okay, statement 1, statement 2, statement 3 lines of code is nothing but block of code. Okay, a block of code is nothing but a function. Okay, and this is a keyword which is required in JavaScript in order to create the function. If you want to create a function in JavaScript, you have to use this function keyword followed by the function name and give the circular brackets and starting of the function, ending of the function, and this block this function will have some block of code. Okay, so this word is exactly is a function, guys. Okay, so what is a function? Function is nothing but a block of code to perform. Okay, using this block of code some task can be performed. Okay, using this group of code or block of code some task will be done by the function. Okay, so in that cases we'll be generally creating a function, guys. Okay, so but what is the purpose of the functions I'll cover later. For now, understand what is a function. Function is nothing but a block of code to perform some task. Okay, when you run this function some task will be performed by this function. Okay, to create the function we need the function keyword followed by the function name. That's it. Okay, so now let's understand about the functions in a detailed manner, guys. Okay, so I'll just open these notes, guys, just for reference. I have these notes with me. Okay, without these notes also I can explain, but I would like to keep this particular notes as a reference. So these are the notes. What is a function, guys? Function in JavaScript is nothing but a block of code which is created. Okay, this function is created to perform a specific task. To perform some task, function will be created and function will contain a block of code. Okay, function is nothing but a block of code. Okay, created or designed, okay, to perform some task. That's what is a function. Okay, don't worry about what is the purpose of the function and all those stuff we'll cover later. But for now, how to create a function? Function keyword we have to use and name of the function followed by circular bracket, starting of the function, ending of the function, and this particular thing is a block of code. Okay. So let me practically show you how to create the functions and how to work with the functions, guys. Okay. Till now, till the previous sessions, I have not created any function, guys. Okay. Till now, you see the code has been written directly under the JavaScript file. Let a is equal to 5, let b is equal to 4, and all the statements are written directly, right? So what I'll do here is I'll just delete this files. Okay, I don't need these files anymore. So let me delete all these JavaScript files which I have used in previous sessions for demonstration. Let me delete all those things and create a new new file known as fun1.js. Okay, here I want to I can write the code. Basically, I can write the code, but what I want to do is I want to create a function, guys. Okay, how to create a function? Which keyword I have to use? Function keyword I have to use. Okay, these are predefined keyword in JavaScript using which we can create the functions. Followed by this function keyword which JavaScript recognizes. We need to give the name of the function, guys. Okay, name of the function we have to give sample. Sample1 is the name of the function. Let's say I'm giving the name of the function as sample1. And this function name should be followed by circular brackets, guys. Okay, if I have to create this function name followed by circular brackets, and this is starting of the function, and this is starting of the function, and this is ending of the function. This is starting of the function, this is the ending of the function. Function name, circular brackets, starting of the function and ending of the function. Starting of the function and ending of the function. Function name, circular brackets, starting of the function and ending of the function. Now in this, you can write any number of lines of code. It can be one line, it can be multiple lines, doesn't matter, guys. Okay. Let me write some print statements. Here you can write some real code, but for now, okay, I'm writing only the print statements if required. Okay. In the coming sections of these sessions, right, I'll be writing the real code. But for now, let me write the print statement console.log inside sample1. Okay, function. Like this, I'll write. Okay. So, like this, if I write, and here, if I run this code, that is node space, name of the JavaScript file and extension fun1.js. Fun1.js and press enter. What is happening? Did you get any output, guys? Did you get any output? The code, the block of code which is there inside this function got executed or not? When I have run this particular JavaScript file, is any output I got? Node fun1.js, any output I got, guys? I didn't get any output, guys. You see, when I say console.log inside sample1 function, nothing got printed. This particular print statement didn't get executed. The reason behind that is, you see, if this console.log is, okay, it's not part of a function, or if it is directly written like this, you see, when I run this, you see, this print statement is getting executed. But what if this particular print statement is part of the function? This line won't be executed because the function is not getting executed. How to run this function code? How to run this function code, guys? Let me clear it. Okay. Here, if I run this like this, you see, output is not coming. But how to run this function code or the block of code which is there in this function, how to run? By default, the functions will not run. Okay. The block of code which is there inside the function will not run by default. If you really want to run, you need to call this method, guys. How to call this method? Sample one, and give the circular brackets and put a semicolon. This is what is a function calling statement. What is this, guys? This is called as function calling statement. If you don't call the function code will not run. The function will not run. The code inside the function won't run if you don't call it. If you call it only, the function and the code inside the function will run. Okay. Now, let me clear this. Run this, you see. Now the code inside the function. When I'm calling this function, okay, when you are running this code, when the execution reaches this fifth line, sample1, okay, which is nothing but this part, guys. Copy this function name and circular brackets and just simply put a semicolon symbol to close the function. Okay, when you write this line, this will call this particular function. When the function is called using this function calling statement, the code inside the function will be executed. That is, inside sample1 function will get printed here. Okay, now, is this particular function will run only one time? Can be called only one time? Can I call this function only one time? No, you can call it any number of times. If I call the function again, like sample1 for second time, this is another function calling statement. Okay, similar to the first one, this is another function calling statement. Okay, no matter how many times I call this function, like sample1, 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 sample1. Okay, clear? If I run this code, you see, inside sample1 function, inside sample1 function, inside sample1 function, inside sample1 function, inside sample1 function. 5 times the print statement got printed. Okay, when you are calling the function, every time you call, the code inside the function got executed, and when the code inside the function get executed, here in this example, inside sample1 statement will get printed. Okay, like that, inside sample1, inside sample1, inside sample1, inside sample1, inside sample1 will get printed. Okay, there is no rule that you need to call the function only once. You can call the same function any number of times. Okay, now let me clear this out. Now, what are the other things about the function? Here, whatever the function I created, does it have any parameters here? Is it intaking any data here? No. Circular brackets are empty. This function, okay, is not intaking any data because these circular brackets are empty. but I can put some parameters inside the circular brackets. Okay, I can put some parameters. For that, I'll just let me also go through the reference just to cross check that nothing is going wrong, guys. Okay, just to cross check that nothing is going wrong or I'm not forgetting anything. I'll generally do like that. Okay, so this normal one. Okay, this is a function calling statement. Okay, now parameters only. Okay, the next one is a parameters. The next one is a parameters. Let me create another function fun2.js. So here I'm going to create another function, guys. Okay, here I'll be creating one more function, that is fun function is a keyword followed by demo one. Demo one is a function name followed by circular brackets starting of the function, ending. This is a curly brace is the starting of the function, ending curly brace is the ending of the function. Function name, circular bracket starting of the function and ending of the function. Now function name, circular brackets. Here how many parameters are there? Zero parameters, right? Here zero parameters are there. What if I write, okay, what if I give some name like, uh, name. Okay, if I give some parameter like name, this name that I have written here is one of the parameter. Okay, only one parameter is there inside this function, that is a name. Okay, so here whenever you call this particular function, I want to do something like this. Okay, console.log welcome plus name. Okay, this plus symbol already covered in the previous session, right? String concatenation. Okay, this here string literal plus symbol on the left side of the plus symbol, operand is string literal and the name is also a string. Name can be anything. Okay, welcome name means the resultant will be a string literal and this plus will act like a concatenation operator instead of the addition operator. Now guys, now since this earlier this particular function doesn't have any parameters, the circular brackets used to be empty in the previous example, but now this particular function has one parameter. How to call this function? If I run this code, nothing will be running, guys. Okay, fun2.js, nothing will get printed here, you see, because the block of code which is there inside the function will be executed only when you call the function. How to call the function? Using the function calling statement. How to call the function calling statement? Copy the name of the function here and put circular brackets and put a semicolon here. Now, will this work? Will this work, guys? Let's try this out. Will this work? What is happening? Yes, it is working. It's calling the function. But what is the problem? It's calling the function. The function is getting the block of code inside the function is getting executed, but welcome space, what is coming here in place of the name? Undefined is coming because you are not passing any data. Okay, to this particular parameter, the method is ready to intake the data, but in the method calling statement, you are not passing the data. Okay, this name is called as a parameter, guys. Okay, this name is called as a parameter. Technically, this name here, one parameter is there inside this function declaration. That is name is one parameter, and here if one parameter is there, if you don't pass any data, okay, JavaScript will assign undefined thing. Okay, if you are not passing anything, it will become undefined. Okay, what if I pass something like, for example, I will pass my name like a string literal name I will pass. Okay, in this case, what will happen? If I run this code, you see, welcome space, whatever the data I am passing to this parameter is getting printed here. Okay, so when you call this particular function, this Arun motor will go and store into the name parameter, and here you are inside the function, you are utilizing that name parameter, and here welcome space plus whatever the data that you have passed to the name parameter, that is Arun motor will be printed. That's why welcome Arun motor will be printed. Okay, this is what happens, guys. This is what happens, and this particular data, okay, that you are passing from the function calling statement is called as an argument. Okay, argument. It is an argument. The data that you are passing to the function calling statement and that will go and store into the parameter of the function is called as an argument, and this the variable kind of thing that is provided in the circular brackets of the function declaration is called as a parameter, and the data that you are passing to this parameter is called as an argument. Okay, so whenever I call this method, whenever I call this function, whatever the argument I will pass, that will be taken and accordingly the function will work. For example, if I call this function again, yes, I can do, and this time I'll pass Varun Dawat. Okay, and here another argument is there, guys. Okay, a different argument I am passing here compared to the first one. I'm calling the same function two times. So first welcome Arun motor will be printed, then welcome Varun Dawat should be printed. So let's see what is happening. You see, welcome Arun motor and welcome Varun Dawat got printed. Okay, so this is what is a parameterized function. But here, how many parameters are there? In this parameterized function, how many parameters are there? Only one parameter is there. Is it that only one parameter should be there in functions? No, we can have any number of parameters, guys. So I'll explain one more example here, which has multiple parameters. So here only one parameter I have explained, okay? But you can have any number of parameters, guys, okay? So let me create a function which has multiple parameters, fun3.js. And here I would like to create a function add. Add is the name of the function. Here a comma b, starting of the function, ending of the function. Here two parameters are there. Here what I will write, okay? Here I will say sum of a and sum is, otherwise sum is plus circular bracket, or you can write the logic also, okay? Let c is equal to a plus b, okay? Or let sum is equal to, a plus b. Here you can say plus sum. This particular variable sum, you have to, sum is a, sum is plus sum, okay? Like this you can add. Now I can create one more function subtraction, okay? Subtraction a comma b or x comma y, anything you can give as any names you can give. You can even give a comma b also here, not a problem. And here, okay, here I'll write let result is equal to x minus y. Result is equal to x minus y. Okay, console.log. Okay, subtraction is plus result plus this particular variable result. Okay, like this you can create any number of functions, guys. You can create any number of functions. But here, how many parameters are there? Two parameters. Here also how many parameters? You can have two, three. There is no limit for how many number of parameters. According to your function requirements, you can have any number of parameters created here. Okay, but when I call this function add, okay, if I directly call like this, a will be storing undefined, b will be storing undefined, and undefined plus undefined is called undefined, and sum is undefined or something will come, guys. Okay, instead of that, if you pass the data, like 1 comma 2, if I pass 1 comma 2, what will happen? 1 will go into a, 2 will go into b, 1 plus 2 is 3, sum will become 3, sum is 3 will be printed. Okay, now if I say sub 5 comma 1, 5 comma 1, if I say 5 comma 1 sub, okay, this function will be called, and here 5 will go here and 1 will go here. 5 minus 1 is 4, result will be 4. Okay, now let's run this code. fun3.js, fun3 dot, sorry, I just made a mistake. fun3.js. Okay, you see sum is 3, and this is a function calling statement, and it's passing, there are two arguments here. Okay, here two arguments are there, two arguments. Why I'm passing two arguments? Because here two parameters are there, a and b are the parameters, two parameters are there. Okay, in the function declaration there are two parameters separated by comma symbol. You see, first parameter is separated by comma symbol. If you have multiple parameters, you have to separate each and every parameter with a comma symbol. Okay, here also two parameters are there. And here also, since there are two parameters, if you pass two arguments, they will be passed to the respective parameters. Here also two arguments, that is two data that is passed. So 5 will go into the x and 1 will go in and 4 will be printed. You see, subtraction is 4 is something you will get in the result. Okay. So this is how we can create functions in JavaScript, guys. This is how we can create functions, okay, in JavaScript. And the next thing, the final thing that I will be covering as part of, you see, I don't have to cover too deep about this functions topic. I don't have to cover the things in very depth. Okay, whatever I'm covering will be more than enough. A lot of advanced or additional topics will be there. But don't worry about when the right time comes, I'll explain all the things about other things. But for now, what exactly is a function, how to call the function. Function can have a single parameter, function can have more than one parameter or any number of parameters. Now, the last topic for this session is, okay, here till now guys, the functions are, okay, in the first example when I have taken, functions are not intaking any data, neither in the function calling statement you are not passing any data, or this particular function is not intaking any data. But if you go to the function 2, this particular function is intaking one single data, it's intaking. But is this function returning anything back to the function calling statement? After running the code inside the function, is this particular function returning anything back to the function calling statement which has called and because of which it got executed? No, right? So this function is not returning anything back to the function calling statement. Only the function calling statement is passing this argument to this parameter. But in return, function is not returning anything to this function calling statement till now, right? In whatever the examples I have taken, here two parameters are intaking these two arguments in this function. But is this particular function returning anything back to the function calling statement? No. But can functions do that? Can functions return something back to the function calling statements? Yes, it is possible, guys. I'll just demonstrate this. This is the last one for functions, guys. So here, let me create a function, guys. Function. I'll just write add, okay, a comma b, starting of the function, ending of the function, starting of the function, ending of the function. Here I'll say let sum is equal to, okay, let sum is equal to a plus b, okay. Now this is a function name, parameters, okay. If I write like this, okay, for example, if I write like this, sum, okay. When I call this function like add of 3 comma 4, if I call, what will happen? Okay, this is a function calling statement. It will call this function and the block of the code which is there inside the function will be called, and 3 will go into A and 4 will go into B, and 3 plus 4 will be 7. 7 will go into the sum. And when you write console.log, here 7 will be printed here. Okay, but is this function returning anything back to the function calling statement? Remember a situation where you have attended an event or birthday party or some kind of event conducted by your friends and family members. Okay, whenever you go to their function, right, what you will do, you will try to give a gift, right? Okay, let's say this is you who is attending this particular function. Okay, this is you are invited as a guest to this particular function connected by your friends or some circles. Okay, while going to the function, right, you have taken this particular gifts, you want to present these gifts. 3 and 4 are the gifts. That gifts are taken by the people who are conducting the, who are organizing that function or who are celebrating that function. Okay, the people who are celebrating that function are intaking your gifts. Okay, whatever the gifts you brought, right, they have collected it. A is taking 3 and B is taking 4 and all those stuff. 3 plus 4 is 7, all those stuff, and here 7 got printed. But you see, sometimes in India, and most of the cases, right, in tradition, in Indian tradition and all, what generally happens is whenever you attend a function with some gifts, they will take the gifts, and also in return they will give some gifts known as return gifts. Okay, have you heard about this concept? When you attend some functions in India, okay, the people who are you are celebrating the function to celebrate their happiness with you, and as a token of appreciation or happiness that you have attended their function, they want to give some return item, okay, as a gift. Okay, since you attended my function, I want to give you some gift, okay, as a memory of that, or as celebration of or happiness in which you have attended my function. Okay, that is one of the norm that people are doing. But here you attended this function as a guest. This is a function calling statement. Is a guest has attended this function and has taken these gifts. The gifts are utilized by these people who are celebrating this function, and they are not returning anything back. They are not giving any return gift back. Okay, but what if I say they give some return gift? Okay, so here if I run this code, first of all, if I run this code, you see 7 is getting printed. Okay, the sum 7 is getting printed. Instead of that, instead of printing here, what I can do is I can make this function return something back to the function calling statement. For that, I have to use a keyword known as return keyword. Remember, guys, remember in one of the previous session where I was explaining about the JavaScript basics, and in the JavaScript basics, in the case of flow control statements, in the flow control statements, the last statement is transfer statements, break, continue, were the two items I already have demonstrated as part of this session in the previous sessions, right? Along with that, I also covered, okay? Along with that, I also mentioned that there are two more important transfer statements in JavaScript apart from break and continue. They are return and throw, okay? Two more are there. I told you that I'll explain about the return keyword here, return transfer statement here in JavaScript when the time comes. Now, when I'm explaining about the functions, the time has come. So return is one of the transfer statement, okay, transfer flow control statement in JavaScript, guys. Okay, transfer flow control statement in JavaScript which I am using here. Return is a keyword which is a one of the transfer JavaScript statement. After return, I'll simply say sum. Okay, that means whatever the result of this a plus b, that is sum. Okay, that is 7, right? That 7 will be returned as a result, okay, as a written by the function to the function calling statement. Okay, now if I run this code, what will be the output? Will the 7 will be printed? Here 3 will go into A, 4 will go into B when I call this function, and 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 will be stored into sum, and this particular function is returning 7, and that 7 value is returned back to the function calling statement. But is this function calling statement doing anything with that returned value 7 here? Is anything, any operation this particular function calling statement is doing on the returned value, that is 7, by this function to this return calling statement? No, right? I'll simply say node. Okay, run this code, you will see no output will come. Okay, you see no output. The reason behind that is This function is actually returning the sum of these two variables back to the function calling statement. But this calling statement is not utilizing that. How to utilize that? Here I have to say let, okay, let result is equal to or r is equal to whatever you want, right? Okay, whatever the value that is written by this function with the help of the return statement will be returned to this function, and that will be assigned to the r. And if I write r here, if I print r here, what will be printed? Okay, 3 plus 4. Here 3 plus 4, 7. 7 will be returned to the function calling statement. 7 will come here. 7 will be stored into r, and when you print r, 7 will be printed, guys. Okay, you see, 7 got printed. Other way is that if instead of doing like this, guys, instead of doing like this, okay, when you're you can directly do like this, console.log directly call the function inside the print statement itself. That is 3 comma 4, like that you say. Okay, instead of calling this function and storing the result into the variable and then writing a separate print statement for printing r, right? Instead of that, console.log directly call the function here itself. What will happen? When you call this function in the print statement, add of 3 comma 4, 3 will go into a and 4 will go into b, and 3 plus 4 will become 7. 7 will be stored into sum, and this function will return the 7 back to the function calling statement. Where is the function calling statement? This is the thing. Okay, here 7 will come. 7 will be returned by the function, and since console.log of 7 means 7 will be printed. Just see here, 7 will be printed. So functions can return the data also. Only one data it can return. You can have any number of parameters, but only one value it can return back to the function calling statement. So there are functions which doesn't have any parameters. There are functions which can have a parameter. There are functions which can have multiple, more than one parameters limit, endless. There's no particular limit. And also when you call a function can return the data back to the function calling statement also. Okay, using the return keyword. Okay. So this result of this a plus b will be returned back to the function calling statement, and that you can store into the variable or directly print them in the console.log. Okay. And many other advanced concepts of functions are there, guys, but at this point of time, I'm not going to cover them. I'll definitely cover them to you in the upcoming sessions. Okay. So guys, that's all for this session. Okay. Hope you have understood what exactly are functions and how to use them in JavaScript language. Okay. So in the next session, I'm going to cover about the local and global variables in JavaScript. Till then, see you. Bye bye. Hello all, welcome to another session in this course. As part of this session, I'm going to cover the next topic, that is local and global variables. So let's get started. First of all, what exactly are these local and global variables in JavaScript? What are local variables? Okay, and what are global variables? Local variables and global variables in JavaScript language. In JavaScript, the variables which are created inside the functions or inside the blocks are called as local variables. So what are local variables in JavaScript? In JavaScript, the variables that are created inside the functions or inside the blocks. It can be either functions or blocks, or local variables, okay, are nothing but local variables. The variables that are created inside the functions or blocks are called as local variables. Example or examples. I'll give an example of a local variable which is created inside a function, okay. So here there is a JavaScript file. Inside that file there is a function, okay. Let's say this function name is sample1, and this is the starting of the function and this is the ending of the function. Now here, guys, here if you say let a is equal to 5, like this, if you have created this variable a is nothing but a local variable. Why? This variable is actually declared and created inside a function, okay? The starting of the function, if the ending of the function, since this particular variable is created inside the function, this is called as a local variable. Okay, this is called as a local variable. Now another example I am going to give, okay? Another example I am going to give for the local variables. What is another example I'm going to give for the local variables? The example is simple, guys, okay? The example is simple. The same variable, okay? The variable that is created inside the blocks are also called as local variables. For example, here I'm not creating a function, rather I am creating a if condition statement. Otherwise, I'll just mention, a greater than b. Okay. Now here, this is a if block having this if condition and the starting of the if block, ending of the if block, and here you are creating some variable. Let x is equal to 10. Now in this case, in this particular code, the variable that is created inside this if block, okay, this block is also called as a local variable. Variables that are created inside the functions or inside the blocks in JavaScript are known as local variables. Okay, these are local variables. These are the things for local variables. Then what are global variables? Then what are global variables? What are global variables? Variables, okay, the variables that are created outside the functions or outside the blocks directly under the JavaScript file. Okay, directly under the JavaScript file, you created the variables outside the functions and blocks are called as global variables. Okay, so here I'll write down variables that are created directly under the, okay, directly under the JavaScript file outside the functions or blocks. Okay, are global variables. Okay, example. For example, here I'll say I'll give something. Let m is equal to 9. Here there is a function. Okay, function demo1 function. Okay, demo1 function is there. This is nothing but the demo1 function, guys. Okay, function name, starting of the function, ending of the function, and here this particular variable. Okay, this particular variable yum is not created inside the function, rather it is created outside the function. So this variable is called as this is a global variable. Directly under the JavaScript file, if you create a variable, that is called as a global variable. Okay, here one more example I can take, the same thing here. For example, there is some if condition, if, okay, a greater than b, like this, if I am writing the code, okay, I'm not creating any variable inside this if block or inside this function, but I'm creating the, okay, assume that this is a JavaScript file, assume that this particular box is a JavaScript file, in that there is a function, there is a if block and all, but this particular variable em is created directly under the JavaScript file outside this function and if block. Such kind of variable em, okay, in this case is called as a global variable. So you can declare these variables either with let or const, okay, that you already know. But okay, whether you declare these variables with let or const, but this variable is created directly under the JavaScript file outside the functions or blocks are called as global variables. The variables which are declared with either let or const keyword, but they are created with inside the function block or inside the function or inside the if block or blocks of code are nothing but the local variable. This is also a local variable. Okay. So hope guys you got a clarity of what exactly the local variables and global variables are. Okay, let me now practically demonstrate them for you. So after you understand what exactly are local variables and global variables, what exactly are local, let me delete these previous examples. Okay, these are not required. I'll be creating fresh JavaScript files for us. Okay. Okay, I'll just create a JavaScript file. Let's say 1.js. This JavaScript file, and here I'm going to create a variable. I'll say let a is equal to 5 is a variable. Okay. Let a is equal to 5 is a variable. Now I'll create a function, sample function. The name of the function is sample. And here I'm going to create a variable let b is equal to 10, like this. Let b is equal to 10. Now I'm going to create an if block. If, okay, if, what I can say, if there's one condition I need to give guys is, okay, if a is greater than 1, okay, if a is greater than 1, here I'll write down let c is equal to, let c is equal to 15. Like this, if I create, now in this particular example, what are local variables, what are global variables? A variable, whether it is declared with let or const, but is created inside the function, okay, starting and ending of the function. This is a local variable. It is a local variable. A variable that is declared and created, okay, here I have to say let c is equal to, okay, a variable that is declared and created with either let keyword or const keyword, and okay, inside the block, okay, in this case if block, okay, the starting of the block, this ending of the block, this particular variable is also a local variable. And a variable guys which is created outside these functions or if blocks is called as a global variable, okay, global variable. Now if I try to print, okay, if I try to print the variable a, will the value 5 will be printed or not? Will the value 5 will be printed or not? Yes, it will be printed because it is a global variable. A variable that is declared directly under the JavaScript file outside this functions and blocks are called as global variables, and the global variables can be accessed throughout the JavaScript file, okay, without any problem. You see, 5 got printed. When you print console.log of A, it got printed. What if I try to print B and C? Will they be printed? One of the variable which is created inside the function, this is a local variable, okay, here it is local here only, okay, it cannot be accessed outside. If you try to access this variable be outside this function, okay, it will not print this 10, okay. I'll try to print ABC here, and let's see what is going to happen here. Let's say clear, and or I can simply say a comma b comma c, okay. So I don't have to write so many print statements here, only one print statement task will be done. You see what is happening, guys? A is fine, okay? For A, there's no problem. Or else I'll do one thing. B, I'll print separately. C separately, and then I'll just clear this so that we will not get errors as it is, okay? We got there. First 5 got printed, guys. When I printed A, the 5 got printed. After that, when I try to print B, we got an error, okay? When I try to print B, we got an error. B is not defined, it is saying, because B is a local variable. If I try to print B here inside this function, if I try to print B, then it's okay. Okay, I can print the value of this variable B within the function, but not outside the function. This is not possible. Okay, I need to comment this. Okay, instead of this, I need to call this function, that is sample function, like this you call. Okay, when you call the sample function, the code inside the function will get executed and B will be assigned with 10. And when you print B, the value of B, that is 10, will get printed. Okay, coming to C, okay, C also now A and B will be resolved. Okay, because within the function I am just printing the variable B, so it will be okay. See, 5 and 10 got printed, A and then I call this function. Within the function, this particular B can be accessible and the value of B got printed. But coming to C, we got an error, okay? Undefined, same thing, is not defined because block scoped. Variable is function scoped and block scoped, guys, okay? A variable created inside the function or block, okay? Are local variables, they are function and block scope, they cannot be accessed outside the function or blocks. Within the function only you can access, okay? Here if I write C, then it will be okay, guys, okay? Then it will be okay. So let's see what will happen. You cannot access it outside, guys. I just comment this out, okay? So what will happen when I run this code? A will be 5 and okay, function code will not be called now. So here A is greater than 1. Yes, that is true. So let's C is equal to 59. But A is 5. 5 greater than 1 is true. So the value of C, that is 15, will get printed. Then the value of A, that is 5, will get printed. Then when you call this function, this code will get executed. The value of the B, that is what is that value? 10 will get printed. Okay. First 15, 5, 10 should be printed. Okay. 15, 5, 10 should be printed, guys. Okay. 15, 5, and 10 should be printed. Just give me a second. First 15 will be printed, then 5 will be printed, then 10 will be printed. 15, 5, 10. Okay. So variables that are declared either with let keyword or const keyword within the function or inside the blocks are called as local variables. Variables that are declared outside the functions or blocks are called as global variables. Global variables can be accessed throughout the JavaScript file, whereas local variable, the scope of this particular variable is up to this function only. Okay, the scope of this variable C is up to this block only. Okay, outside the block or function, we cannot access this variables, local variables. Okay. So hope guys you got some idea about these local variables in practical also. Here I have some notes, guys, okay? Just to cross check that I have covered everything for you regarding the local and global variables, I would like to open these notes. Okay, there will be some extra information about the local and global variables. Let's see that here and then confirm that and then we'll can complete the session. Okay. You already know what is a variable in one of the previous session. Okay, under the JavaScript basics, I already covered about what exactly are variables. Now we are only talking about global variables and local variables. Okay, so here global variables, a variable that is directly created under the JavaScript file outside the functions and blocks are called as local variables. Same thing. Okay, what is a you see, you can also access this global variable within the function, outside the function, everywhere. Okay. So if I try to print the value of this b, I can access it here also. Okay. I can access this variable a here also. Okay. Within the function also. But a variable that is created within the function cannot be accessed outside. A can be accessed throughout the JavaScript file. Here also you can say CLG of a. It will work fine without any problem. It will work fine, guys. Okay, outside the functions, outside within the functions, within the blocks, everywhere you can access a global variable. Okay, so just let's open the terminal and let me run it here. Okay, new terminal and here you just write down here, just run the code. You see the variable a5 is getting printed 3 times. Okay, so here first it got printed inside the function. You see I can access this global variable within the function. I can access it throughout the JavaScript file, guys. Okay, unlike B and C, which are local variables which can be accessed only within the functions and blocks, variable A is a global variable which can be accessed inside the function, outside the function, inside the block, outside the block, everywhere. Okay, that's one thing you need to learn about the global variables. Okay, next thing, local variables, variables created inside the function or okay, when you try to access this variable which is created inside a function, outside the function, if you are trying to access, local variable is not defined here, will error will come. Already we have seen that. Okay. And there is a even block also, same concept for block also, guys, same concept for block also. You see within the block also this particular variable, let y is equal to 20. Okay, y, okay, y is block scoped. Okay, function scoped and block scoped. Y is both function scope and block scope. And the last thing about the variables I have to explain here is variable shadowing. Okay, there will be one situation that may arise for you guys, that is let me show you what is the situation. If I create a JavaScript file here and here I'll say let a is equal to 5. Okay, here I'll create a function, sample function. Here I'll say let a is equal to 10. So the problem here is, okay, if I say console.log a and here if I say uh, console.log a, okay, here this a variable a, which is declared and created outside the function, is a global variable. This is a global variable. The value of the global variable is 5. Now within the function also, the same exact variable which is a global variable I created again using the let keyword declared and create again inside the function also. I assigned the value 10 to this variable, and when I try to print this value of the variable a here, okay. So you see here when I call this function, what will be printed? What will be the output of this program otherwise? Okay, what will be the output of this program, guys? What is the output of this program? First, the global variable a is declared with the let keyword, created and declared with the let keyword is initialized with the value 5. A is holding 5 here. Then the function situation will come. Since we have not called the function yet, this code will not be executed, but it will be noted out. Then when I call the function, when I call this sample function, the sample function will be called, and here let a is equal to 10. This is a local variable. Okay, the same global variable is recreated as a local variable. Okay, so the scope of this variable a within the inside the function is up to the function only. When I try to print the value of this variable a, 5 will be printed or 10 will be printed. Global variable value will be 5 will be printed here, or global local variable value of this variable a, that is 10, will be printed. So here what happens in this situation is local variable will shadow the global variable. Okay, inside this function, when you are inside this function, when the code inside the function is getting executed, if the local variable and global variable are same, okay, inside that function, okay, so local variable will shadow the global variable. That means shadow means this will hide this value of this variable a. Okay, since the local variable and global variable are there, if it is not there means 5 will be printed here. Okay, if this particular statement is not there means what will happen? A is equal to 5. It's a global variable. Here when you print a, 5 will be printed. But if it is there, if the local variable with the same name having a different value is there means this variable, local variable, will shadow the global variable. So 10 will be given the preference within the function, and here 10 will be printed. Now, once you come out of the function, when you print console.log of a, the global variable value which is accessible everywhere will be printed. So here 5 will be printed. Within the function, 10 will be given the preference, and outside the function, 5 will be there. Okay. The variable outside the function and within the function are having the same name with different values. The variable which is there inside the function will shadow the variable which is there outside the function with the same name, that is a global variable. So here 10 will be printed within the function. Here outside the function, okay, the scope of this local variable is up to this function only. So global variable will be given preference here. So here 5 will be printed. Okay. Let me run this code node 2.js. You see, first I called the function, sample function got called. Here let a is equal to 10, which will shadow this global variable. So here a will be printed as 10. After that, once you come out of the function, next one is console.log of a. Here global variable 5 value will be printed. Okay. So hope guys you understood what exactly is variable shadowing. Okay. This is an additional topic. If in case the global variable and local variable have the same name, within the function that local variable will be given the preference and it will shadow the global variable. Outside the function, the global variable will be considered. Okay. So this is all about the local and global variables, guys. Okay. At a high level, or considering the nodes and all, this is what is all about the local and global variables. So we are done with local and global variables in this session. So in the next session, I'm going to cover the next topic for you. Okay. Till then, see you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to another session in this course. As part of this session, I'm going to cover the next topic, that is naming conventions in JavaScript language. Let's get started. So the topic for this session is naming conventions. Okay. Naming conventions. So what is naming convention, or what are naming conventions? Let me explain. So when you name different items while writing the JavaScript code and all, we generally name the variables, we generally name the functions, we generally name the JavaScript file names, okay? And we also name the constants and so on. Many other things will be there. For now, till now, whatever the topics I have covered, I was have created some variables, I created some functions, I created the JavaScript file names, I created some constants. Okay, these are the four major items I have covered so far. So let's not dig deep into the naming conventions used for all the items in the JavaScript language. Rather, let's focus on these four items for now at this point of time in this session. Okay, so how do you name these variables? How do you name these functions? How do you name these file names? And how do you name these constants is something you need to understand, guys. Okay. So when you name variables, what naming convention you follow? So when you name the variables, you follow a naming convention known as lower camel case. Lower camel case. Okay. Lower camel case is a naming convention that you generally follow while naming the variables. I'll give you some examples, guys. Okay. So here I'll write down variables. Okay. For variables, how do you name the variables? Let's say I'm naming a variable. Okay. That is let first name is equal to Arun. Like this, I am naming a variable. Here, first name is there. Okay. If you observe this naming convention that I am following while naming this variable, and you see the first word, there are two words in this particular name of this variable. That is, first is one word and name is another word. If you observe the first word, all the letters of this first word are in lowercase, but the second word, the first letter of the second word is in uppercase. This is called as lower camel case. This is called as lower camel case. I'll give you more examples. Okay, I'll give you more examples. Okay, uh, sample. Okay, sample where one, like that, three words. Okay, here in this particular variable name, there are three words. Okay, sample is one word, where is one word, one is one word. Okay, three words are there. The first word all the letters of the first word will be in complete lowercase, whereas the second word onwards, the first letter will be uppercase. Third word, first letter will be uppercase. Tomorrow another word is there. Here, first letter will be uppercase. This is called as a lower camel case. So let me show you how the diagrammatically lower camel case you can observe like this, guys. Okay, what is lower camel case? I'll just show you one image here. Okay, this is an example of a lower camel case. It's like a single bump. Okay, here, first word will be in complete lowercase. Second word onwards, first letter will be in uppercase. If it has third word, the first letter of the third word will be in uppercase, and if it has fourth word, the first letter of the, okay, fourth word will be in uppercase, and so on. This is called as a lower camel case. This is called as a lower camel case, guys. Okay. So variables will be generally named with lower camel case naming convention. Okay. And what about the functions? Functions also same. Functions also should be named in the lower camel case only. For example, let me write functions. Functions in JavaScript. When you create some functions in JavaScript and when you name these functions, you have to follow this lower camel case convention. Okay, naming convention. So function is a keyword that we have to use for naming for creating the functions in JavaScript, followed by the function name. Sample one is the name of the function, starting of the function and ending of the function. There are two words here in this function name. The first word is in complete lowercase, all the letters of the first word. Second word, first letter will be in uppercase. Okay. Now function, I'll write, okay, uh, calculate, okay, calculate addition of two numbers. Like this, if I am giving a very big name for the function name, and observe that how the what kind of naming function, naming convention is followed. First word, all the letters of the first word in lowercase. Second word onwards, first letter is in uppercase. Second words, first letter. Third words, first letter is in uppercase. Fourth words, first letter is in uppercase. Fifth words, first letter is in uppercase, and so on. Okay, this is what is called as a lower camel case, guys. Variables and functions will fall under the lower camel case as shown in this particular examples. Okay, now come to the file names. Okay, whenever you are creating the JavaScript files, you have to name the file name in, okay, there is no particular case, guys. Okay, generally there is no particular case. Okay, for file names, you can name the JavaScript files with any naming convention. No particular naming convention, okay, is suggested here. But a lot of people, since no particular naming convention is there, but in the industry, most of the people generally follow kebab case. Okay, kebab hyphen case. Okay, so kebab case kind of naming convention is generally followed, guys. Okay, though there is no particular naming convention, but most of the people use this kebab case kind of naming convention. Most of the, like, whenever you see someone creating the JavaScript files, right, most of the people will be using kebab case. Even though there is no particular naming convention, that is popular throughout the industry standard for naming the file names, JavaScript file names in JavaScript language. Okay, fine. So if I have to file names, okay, JavaScript file names, if I have to name them, how they will look like. So here, okay, sample demo. Here, how to name this file names? Sample hyphen demo.js. Okay, this is what is a kebab case. In kebab case, we can have multiple words. The multiple words should be separated by this hyphen symbol, and every letter of the every word should be in lowercase. Every letter of every word should be in lowercase. Okay. So here one more file name I'll create. Okay, math hyphen addition hyphen demo hyphen one dot js. Okay, like this I can give bigger names. You see, there are four words. All the letters of the four words are in complete lowercase, and they're separated by this hyphen symbol. Okay, this is what is called as a kebab case. Okay, the file names in JavaScript language will be JavaScript file names, or whatever the file names that you are creating as part of the JavaScript. You generally give the naming convention as this kebab case. Now, finally, we have something known as constants, guys. Finally, we have something known as constants. Okay. So we can declare the variables with either let keyword or const keyword. When you declare the variables with the const keyword, okay, the variables are no more variables. They are actually constants. Okay. But here, what is the naming convention that we have to follow? We can either call that as upper camel case, or some people call that as Pascal case also. Okay, some people call that as Pascal case also. Okay, both are same. Okay, upper camel case or Pascal case. Okay, so for constants, what is the naming convention? Upper camel case or Pascal case is the naming convention for the constants case. For example, okay, when you say const is a keyword for creating the constants in JavaScript and followed by the const, okay, max underscore. Sorry, I was talking about constants, right? This is wrong. Just give me a second. It's not upper camel case, guys. This is not upper camel case. I was wrong. Let me delete that. Okay, constants. Naming convention of the constants will be upper snake case. Upper snake case. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so I forgot and gave another naming convention here. Was thinking about some other thing. Constants will be named. Naming convention of the constant will be upper snake case. Okay, so here it will be like this: const max underscore max value is equal to 20. Okay, const min underscore value is equal to 5. Okay, here whenever I am creating this constants, you can see that it is in upper. All the if there are multiple words in this constant, okay, all the letters of the words will be complete letters of all the words in this okay, constant will be in uppercase, and this words will be separated by underscore in the case of constants. Okay, so this what is the naming convention of the constants, and this that is upper snake case. Okay, what is the naming convention of the constants? That is snake case upper snake case, guys. Okay, and coming to the naming convention of the file names, it is kebab case kebab case. Okay, and coming to the naming convention of the functions, it is lower camel case, and coming to the naming convention of the variables, it is also lower camel case. Okay, so let me now uh, practically demonstrate this creation of the variables, functions, file names, and constants in here. So let me close all this stuff and let me delete this, guys. Okay, let me delete. Okay, now clear. So here I'm going to create a JavaScript file. You know the naming function for the JavaScript file names are file names in JavaScript, right? That is kebab case. Okay, so here, okay, sample file. What is that we have to follow, guys? Sample hyphen file hyphen one dot js. Okay, this is what is kebab case. Multiple words separated by hyphen symbol, and all the words, all the letters of the all the words will be in lowercase. So this kind of naming convention we have to create use while creating the files in for JavaScript. Okay. So now the next thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to create some variables, guys. Okay. Okay, min child age. Okay. This is lower camel case is equal to 5. Let max child age is equal to 12. Okay. So this is a example for lower camel case. Naming convention of the variables are in lower camel case. File names are in kebab case. And the next one we have is functions. Function. Okay. Function. Welcome. Okay. Welcome. Or else I'll just give some other name. Addition of two numbers. Like this one function name I am giving. Okay. This is also lower camel case. This is also lower camel case, guys. Okay. This is also lower camel case. Okay, the functions we have to create in a lower camel case, whereas I created the variables, I created the functions, I created the JavaScript file names with kebab case, variables and functions in lower camel case. Now constants, const max value 100, okay, const min value is equal to 5 or it's equal to 20 otherwise. Okay, like this you can write. This is upper snake case. Okay, this is upper snake case. Okay, with this, hope you got some idea, right? Okay, how to follow the naming conventions for the file names, how to follow the naming conventions while naming the variables, how to follow the naming conventions while creating the functions, while naming the functions, how to follow the naming conventions while naming the constants. All this, hope you got some idea, right? Hope you got some idea about this. The next thing here is, okay, the next thing here is, the next thing here is, will there be any errors that will be coming or given by the JavaScript language if you don't follow the proper naming conventions for this variables, constants, functions, or the file names? Will any results, will this particular file names or variable names, constant names, or function names will result in any error if proper naming convention is not followed by the developer of the JavaScript language while naming all these things, all these items? The answer is no, guys. You will not get any problems or errors while writing the code if you don't follow the naming conventions. But that doesn't look good. Okay. It's something like you can go to the school without uniform. Okay, you can go. It's not, you know. Generally, we go to the school with uniform, right? And if you don't go to the school with uniform, that's what is the difference, guys. We can still go to the school with uniform, without uniform, okay, or with uniform. But you know, the only problem here is acceptance. Okay, so whenever in the industry, whenever you write the programming code with by following some naming convention, your superiors, colleagues, friends, or anyone who know the JavaScript language uh, will get a feeling that you have followed proper naming conventions, though your logic is right. But if you are still not following the naming convention, your seniors may get angry at you, or they may get irritated at you guys. Okay, it's not they'll not give any errors, your code will work fine. But if you don't follow the naming convention, your seniors or high level people or managers or whatever who are reviewing your code will feel irritated that this basic thing also you don't know, kind of stuff. Okay, you see, you can drive a car. Okay, you can drive a car, and you can drive a car in a correct side and wrong side also, right? You see, you can drive the car correct side and wrong side. Okay. So still you can drive a car, but correct direction we have to drive the car. Okay. Correct side we have to drive the car is a convention that everyone is following. We also will follow. So hope guys you got some idea what exactly is naming convention. It's not. It will not result in any errors, but whenever someone is writing using this naming convention, the other people who are looking at your code will not get irritated, guys. Okay. So that's what is naming convention. Fine. So here are some notes are there, guys. Okay, let's look into the notes for reference, guys. Okay, let's see if anything we are missing or you know about the naming convention. Let's look into the notes that I have gathered here. Naming convention in JavaScript. Okay, naming convention will make the code look more readable. It will not give you any errors or something, but it will make the code more readable because everyone is writing the code in the same format. So when other person is reviewing or reading your code that you have written with by following proper naming conventions, they will get a good feeling. Okay, they will feel that the code is readable because they are also following, or they are also tuned with the same naming convention. Okay, and consistent, that everyone is following the same naming convention. So when you club code of yours and with other developers and all, right, your code will look consistent, okay, throughout the project, easier to maintain and all those stuff. So yeah, so variables and functions, lower camel case, a lot of other things will be there, guys. Okay, I'll cover about this later, when the time comes, because I didn't cover these concepts like private fields and all. So ignore them. Don't worry about the naming convention of them. When the right time comes, I'll explain about that. And okay, coming to the file names. Okay, this class names and all, I didn't cover that for you, so ignore that. Okay. The next one is this constants. Constants will be in upper snake case. I told you, right? Upper snake case constants. So a lot of items will be there in JavaScript, guys, like variables, functions, okay, constants, and many more. Okay, everything will have some naming convention, but I don't want to cover each and every item for you guys. Okay, when the right time comes, I'll cover the other items and their naming convention for you. For now, only these four items, you just try to remember the naming convention of these four items which we'll use mostly. variables, functions, file names, and constants, variables, lower camel case, functions, lower camel case, file names, kebab case, and constants, upper snake case. Okay. If you remember this, that is more than enough case. Okay. So guys, that's all for this session. Okay. So see you in the next session where I'm going to cover the next topic for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.